conducting over 100 ceremonies of ayahuasca. So here I'm going to use ayahuasca as an umbrella term for these two psychedelics, ayahuasca and wachuma. Ayahuasca is more motherly in how it works with you, and wachuma is more fatherly in how it works with you, meaning the one is more nurturing, the other is more challenging. What I've learned is that pre-ceremony, there's a lot of resistance. There's something called resistance, where you can see that there's something that is stopping you from going to the actual ceremony. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is the moment, the time you decide that I'm ready, or that you feel a very strong calling inside of you that says, it is your time now, right? And you find someone, or you find a shaman or a facilitator, and when you say, I commit to this, then the resistance starts. It starts by manifesting through people. Maybe someone says, don't go there, or someone gets sick in the famine, or you have an argument with your wife, your brother, your husband, your partner, or something that manifests in people, number one, where people are stopping you, things that are happening to people around you, or that's happening to you, that are not really major, but in that moment, it feels like I cannot go to this thing. So that's the number one thing. It's resistance, right? The second one is your internal world. You have an internal conflict, like you get very heightened, you very depressive state. The mask starts to fall off, all the weight you're carrying, and then suddenly you start feeling that maybe this is not the right time for this. I'm in emotional turmoil. I'm going crazy. I'm psychologically defunct. So that's number two. That's how the resistance can manifest. The third way that resistance manifests is through things and mechanical objects, whether it's your car, whether it's this and that, your phone, or whatever it is. It manifests through mechanical things. And then the fourth one is just experiences and situations around you that just keep blocking you from coming through. And I'll tell you why this happens. It's my theory. It happens because there's a part of this energy, your consciousness, meaning that all of, right, the one that you've created, the pattern of life, because you're a soul, and who you are here right now is just a pattern. And that pattern is saying, I am not going anyway. It's saying, fuck you, we're not going there, it's not going to head there. In fact, a friend of mine is a shaman. Once said to me, it's like this big dark energy looking at you and saying, you're not going there, I'm gonna do everything around you to stop you from going there, poo poo poo. And then eventually you say, I'm not going there. There are many ways that we work around that, because we understand it from a shamanic or a facilitator perspective, that the resistance is proof positive that a major breakthrough is about to happen. So I'm going to repeat that. The resistance is proof, positive proof, that a major breakthrough is going to happen. So what we do is that we go through these journeys before the actual journey, and we work on the energy to not be as aggressive in terms of stopping you. So by the way, this doesn't happen to everyone, but I've noticed it over the years that it's a pattern that sometimes happens. And that is why part of it is that we send you some cleansing medicine and all of that. So before the actual journey, you're cleansed and your energy is ready to receive ayahuasca in its fullness. There are so many different types of ceremony. Contrary to popular belief that you take ayahuasca and it's like you're watching television and you're seeing everything that is nice and juicy. The truth of the matter is, ceremony is quite challenging. An ayahuasca ceremony is very, very, it's not something to play with. It's not something where you're like, no, I was a unicorn and I was kissing stars. It's not something to play with, right? It really goes through the depths of your pattern. And when I'm talking about a pattern, I'm talking about the pattern that you've had in this time-space reality that is connected with other time-space reality. Now that sounds very crazy, but think of it this way. Your ancestral lineage, right, has been collecting this pattern that is now you. So when you are going through depression, when you are going through sadness, when you are going through even rape, we have seen time and time and time again that pattern didn't start with you. It is in the lineage. And because it's not closed in the lineage, it's seeking closure in the lineage, it lives in you.
Spiritual closure.
So the typical way that people look at reality is that we look at it from a linear perspective, but your ancestral domain is inside of you. All of you. Every single memory of existence is inside of you. And then it goes a little deeper, where you realize that ultimately we are all connected. Nothing is ever separate. You are me observing me in different forms. So within the dimensions of ceremonies, so many different types of dimensions, there's the ancestral domain, which I just explained. It's easy to understand. There's the astral domain, where you meet very advanced entities. Some people call it aliens. Some people call it, other souls or other brothers and sisters in the universe. There are those type of dimensions. There's so many different types of dimensions. There was a time where I was trying to articulate and be like, I'm going to write down all these dimensions. And I think I remember when I reached 12, and I think that was when I was meeting some ascended masters, if you want to call it that, like these advanced humans who've had a life experience here on earth, who come into ceremony to aid you, to help you transform. And I was like, oh my God, I'm counting all these different things and they're not ending. There are common themes within ceremony. There are common dimensions that people visit in ceremony. Even though there's a multitude of dimensions, but there are very common themes, and the very common one, is my favorite, is the ancestral domain.
It's a lovely dimension.
Another common one is the one that people call past lives. So the common one that people call past lives, I believe that it's just life happening, and you're happening in different multiple universes. So I know if you've never been in a ceremony, right now you're thinking, this sounds crazy. If you would have told me when I was, say, 20 years old that something like this exists, I'd be like, are you crazy? So when you think of ceremony, you're sort of thinking of a dream. Most people think it's just a dream, like I dreamt, it's like going in a dream. But the truth of the matter is, ayahuasca ceremony, the dimensions you go to, they are more real than the dimension that we are in right now, me talking to you as I'm talking. They are more real. And that is why the neurons, I believe, shift so much after the ayahuasca ceremony, because you experience a part of you that you never knew existed, because you've been brainwashed. We have been brainwashed to oblivion by westernized society and globalism. We've been brainwashed with the philosophies and structure of materialism that we've truly forgotten who we are. Healing at its deepest core is remembering. You let go of the lie that you'll never be enough, because you're always enough. You let go of the lie that you're invalid, because you've always been valid. You let go of the life that you're not chosen, you're not wanted, because you've always been chosen and wanted. You let go of the lie that you don't belong, you're not connected to anything here, because you've always belonged here. Something has thought enough of you. It wants you here. It needs you here. It chooses you to be here. But that lie has been made by our human experience and has been in the lineage, and it has harmed you. And because it has harmed you, it becomes a psychosis, and it has created other energies that some people call coping mechanisms. Yet those coping mechanisms are the very one that destroy you, because they are all trying to come back home to reality. So what do I mean by that part? When you create a coping mechanism that's called escapism, trying to escape life, escape reality, it's called suicide. It's because you're trying to escape that which you're feeling as not true inside of you. When you've healed the reality and you come back home where you are enough, where you are loved, it doesn't matter what has happened to you, ultimately. And that's one thing that you learn through ayahuasca. It's hard to learn it when you're sitting one-on-one with a person. It's almost like you have to dive in and have the actual experience. Another thing that I've learned is that there are so many things or people or whatever you want to call it, entities that are hovering around, who are always trying to enter the ceremonial space and interrupt the transformation that is happening. They want to come in there and dance like clowns, and some ones are looking for a body. I know this sounds obscene, but that's just the behind the scenes of the medicine journey. I wish I could go deeper. And they like, no, this is not gonna happen. They try to block the ceremony. And those are the very same energies as well. When I meet people who come from another ceremony and maybe they got harmed there for whatever reason, I'm not judging, and they say that, before I went through that ayahuasca experience, I never had anxiety. But as soon as I went through that, I came back with incredible amounts of anxiety. And it will be those energies that the space that you in when ceremony is happening. I'm talking about real ceremony, not like your weekend type, let's have fun with your friends type ceremony. When it has happened, even that is a little dangerous. But anyway, it works for some people. So when you are in ceremony, there's the anxiety would have been coming maybe as an entity or an energy, and it's like, oh, I finally found a nice body to come and live in, and it might have been jumping off from another ceremony member, right? And those are the very fascinating things. There's so many things that I could share. Another one is that ayahuasca calls you. You don't just wake up and decide to do ayahuasca. It calls you. You find it because it calls you. It has called you to find it. And it will call you when it's the right time. And that time might not be when you expect it. Some people say, I've been researching this for 6 years and finally I'm doing it. I'm like, you are not ready for it. So it hadn't said it's time now. It was like, no, it's time for research right now. Right? And the reason why I'm saying this so strongly is because I've seen in most ceremonies that before the actual ceremony, you can actually feel, if you're a shaman facilitator, you can actually feel the energy of the people who are going to be there before you even cook the medicine. The moment you start cooking the medicine, you already know who's coming through. You can feel the energy, you can feel the lineage, you can feel it.
Ancestors.
And by the way, can you connect the dots? When you're feeling all those people's energies, can you connect the dots that it's like the resistance again, but it's coming to the shaman, to the facilitator. It's coming to them. It's like, yo, let's see. We're gonna give you this and this and this and this. So initiation teaches you how to handle that type of energy. And when you handle it, it also collapses the resistance of the people who are attending. Interesting, right? Whew. Hope you learned something today. Till next time. Goodbye.